Hello, Cinemaster lovers. Welcome back. I hope you're ready for an exciting experience because we've got something special for you today. Get comfortable, grab your snacks, and let's dive right into the action. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's get started. One day, after Kyle meets his girlfriend and drops her off at her car, suddenly, he hears a terrifying sound. When he goes to check it out, he encounters Jared, an assistant to a drug dealer to whom Kyle owes money. Jared demands the money and tells him he won't let it slide, so Kyle decides to pay off his debt as soon as possible. To do so, he takes a job as a cleaner. His first client is an elderly woman who appears mysterious and asks him to clean her basement. When Kyle goes down, he doesn't just find garbage, he also discovers an old and very strange-looking coffin. The woman tells him to either bury or burn it and warns him not to use it under any circumstances. But Kyle ignores her and decides to make some money from the coffin. He photographs it and posts it for sale. While cleaning the outside of the coffin, he opens it and finds strange items inside, including something resembling an old music box. The next morning, Kyle went to the library and met his friend, Abel, an expert in history, whose name is Platt. He told him that there was a man named Wolfgang, a sadistic inventor who built devices that made people suffer. He also told him that he was the dark version of Leonardo da Vinci. After a while, he became known as the Devil's Mechanic. In his last years, he became obsessed with death and life after death. At that time, he isolated himself from the world and built a unique machine, which was a mechanical coffin designed for people to experience death without risking their lives. He also called it the Soul Machine, but no one found this device after his death. When Kyle looked at the pictures in the book, he realized that the coffin in the garage, he has the same machine, and this old invention is worth millions of dollars. And of course, when Kyle hears this, he can bear it to the fullest because, of course, when he sells it, he will be able to pay off his debt with his money. And when he gets home, he knows that it is his time to fix this machine, and after he explains to him how this device works, he suggests that they tested it, but they both are afraid to use the coffin on themselves, so they decide to have someone else use the first one. And they don't find anything in front of them except Sutton's fish, so they take it and put it in the coffin in its tank, and then they use the key and turn on the coffin. And they see the fish dying in front of them, and as soon as the music stops, the fish comes back to life again completely normal, and the guys are shocked by what they saw, so they decide to tell Blade about what happened. And in the scene after that, Julie, Kyle's girlfriend, comes to visit him and tells him that she misses him and comes to sit with him for a while, but she gets very upset from Sutton's loud voice and suggests renting a separate house. But Kyle tells her that he will not be able to pay these extra expenses and that he is very happy living with his friend. And this is because he not only helps him in his studies but also pays his rent money. At night, Blatt comes to see the device and tries it out, and although they are curious to try it, they are all hesitant and afraid of exposing their lives to danger. So Kai decides to try it first, and at that time, he films everything with the camera and tries not to miss any details. As soon as Kyle enters the coffin, Blatt puts the key in and turns it 3 times, thinking that this will be enough to operate the coffin for about a minute. As soon as the coffin starts working, Kyle finds himself in the spirit world and acts like this, not understanding how this could happen. When Blatt finds his friend dead, he starts to get scared, but at that time he suggests that they calm down and wait until the music stops. When the music actually stops, Kyle wakes up. He tells them that it is a terrible experience and they should try it. Blatt is still scared, but his curiosity makes him take the risk. While he is in the coffin for a moment, his friends turn on the device for a minute so that he can live this experience. After he dies and enters the spirit world temporarily, he walks in the town at night. He does not know how to use his new ability. He walks aimlessly on the railway and sees the train coming and passing him. Of course, if he was alive, he would have died in it long ago, but the train penetrates his body normally. In the scene that follows, he finds himself back in his body and is completely shocked. Since he is the smartest one among them, he realizes that what they are experiencing is similar to a death experience, and that when they are in the coffin, they are very close to death, but they do not reach it. This helps them return to their bodies later. At that moment, he is amazed by his friend's experiences and stories, so he decides to try it as well. He asks for help to enter the coffin, but Platt tells him that it is a stupid idea and dangerous for him, but he ignores it and asks them to carry him since he is sitting on a wheelchair and wants to see if this is a dream or reality. So Kay writes a note and leaves it next to the fish tank and asks Sutton to read it when he enters the spirit world and tells them what exactly is written on the note. As soon as Sutton enters the spirit world, they are are surprised that he is on his feet completely normally, and Mike is the one who controls this process, but he is forced to withdraw when he finds out that his girlfriend, Julie, came to visit him. He tells Platt to continue with Sutton and goes to meet Julie, and finds out from her that she caught him and knew that he was taking money from her visa. They quarrel with each other, and at that time their spirit is standing in the middle of them, and he watches them without them realizing that he is there. After that, he gets in the car with Julie and wants to touch her face, but at that moment the music stops and his spirit returns to his body again. And when the guys ask him about what is written on the paper, he ignores it. But to prove that he was not dreaming, he tells Mike that he knows that he was taking money from Julie and that he witnessed their fight. After that, the guys discuss what happened and write that they will not only make a lot of money from the coffin, but they might also be killed because they reached this machine. Before Platt leaves, he assures them not to use this device again or touch it until he does his research. He feels that he needs to understand more about why they entered this spirit world and how this device works in the first place. At that time, Sutton decides to try to walk on his feet again, and when he tries, he gets up but falls at that moment. And of course, he feels terribly frustrated. After that, Platt returns to the library and begins to study this device more and more. But when he stands on the doorstep, he finds a homeless person sleeping, so he decides to avoid him. But then he hears a voice. He moves behind him, and when he turns around, he finds that the one behind him is not just a homeless person, but death itself, coming in the form of the scientist who invented the device. He enters the building immediately, and Bella realizes that the monster that was chasing him has disappeared. At this time, the scientist's spirit appears again, but Kyle, who does not think much about the matter, acts completely normal. After a while, Julie calls him and urges him to stay away from each other for a while until they decide what to do and see if they will continue in this relationship or if it will blow up. Kyle tries not to enter a state of depression and reads that it no longer makes a difference to him or affects him as before. At this time, Kyle decides to use the coffin again without mentioning it to anyone. After turning the key several times to prolong the time, he enters the world of spirits and walks around the town. He enters a shop as it closes and reads the shop owner to know the number of the safe where the man keeps his money. When he sighs and returns to reality, Kyle wears. He goes to steal the safe, enters the code, and opens it easily without attracting attention. He actually steals the money and the gun he finds. After that, Kyle goes to Marcus to settle his debts and buy something stronger. When he arrives, he finds something strange in his car, and it moves on its own. He also sees the wipers moving, so Kyle gets scared and starts thinking that the spirits are being expelled, but it turns out that Marcus is just playing a prank on him. After that, he offers him cocaine, but Kyle refuses and returns his car. He tells HM that it no longer gives him the same feeling as before, in addition to the fact that smoking too much is destroying his health and causing his teeth to fall out. At that time, Sutton decides to use the machine again, and when he sleeps, we find his soul going to Julie's apartment. He shakes out that he is very impressed by her. He enters her room and finds Bella sleeping. Suddenly, he wakes up and returns to his body. At that moment, Julie feels in a strange need. She excels and is surprised and does not understand anything at all. When he regains consciousness, he starts to exercise hard. After that, he finds Kyle returned home and hiding the drugs and the gun under the bed. On the other hand, Platt, while looking at the drawings of the mad scientist, realizes that the devil is hidden within the music itself. He then continues his research in the library, but while he is busy, he finds his nostrils bleeding. The next morning, he calls Kyle and tells him that the secret of the coffin is in the music, and that the churches in the Middle Ages had it because they considered it satanic music. In order to complete his research, he needs to record the sound of the coffin. He wonders about it and thinks again that the music that the coffin plays is very, very dangerous. He asks him not to touch it until he comes. At night, Platt visits his friends and checks on them, but they deny that any change has happened to them, and none of them mentions the hallucinations to him. Platt notices that his friends have become obsessed with the coffin and what it offers them. They have to resist all temptations. At a certain point, Platt decides to record music, but Kyle also sleeps in the coffin to return to the spirit world. When Kyle tries to stop him, he pushes him away and scolds Marcus and Bella. He finds him treating one of his customers in a very brutal manner and even takes his girlfriend by force in exchange for cocaine. When Kyle sees this, Pete is angry and wants revenge on Marcus and his assistant, so he follows Jared to find out where they hid the drugs. When he returns to reality, Kyle admits that he felt like he was in heaven and enjoying these very dangerous trips, but Platt is not as optimistic as him and takes into account the first terrifying consequences, which is curiosity. In another one of the sessions, they find a fish that has died, but they do not care, and at that moment he wants to enter the coffin again, even if it is for a minute. So Beirut goes to the spirit world and enters the gym where Julie trains and trains with her while she trains with him, and she talks to Kyle and they meet. And at that moment, Sutton gets angry and starts hitting the wheel. And at that moment, he returns to reality and writes that he can affect those around him in the spirit world. And when he returns to his friends, he lies to them and tells them that he went to the cinema. And Blatt and Kyle pity him when they find him excited, and it is very clear that he is lying. At night, Blatt returns to the library to study the music coming out of the coffin, and when he analyzes the recording, he discovers that there is a mysterious sound with a very low frequency, and this sound affects living creatures, and it appears that this is the reason for the death of a fish 2 hours ago. And now he is doing the same thing and affecting the flies. So Blatt realizes that one sound is definitely not enough to do all of this, and that this coffin definitely has another secret that helps him affect people. The next morning, Kyle meets Julie in the cafe. He tells her that he paid his debts and returned the money he took from her visa, and he also tries to make up with her, but she still remembers his violent method and the change that happened to him at that time. Balad calls him and tells him that this device is a big trick and that it does not let the person leave his body or anything, it simply kills the brain. At a time when Kyle is talking to Platt, Julie leaves and walks away and raises herself to give him a second chance. He goes to the place where the drug dealers hide their goods and steals. When Marcus and Jared know that the drugs are not there, they realize that they have a big problem, and this is because they have no idea who stole them. On the other hand, Bala continues studying this device and begins to know how it affects the body. When he uses a live broadcast camera, he notices that there is a needle mark on his neck because of this coffin, and at this time the spirit reappeared again, and still chasing him, and curiosity gets the better of him, leading to disastrous consequences. And this is just the beginning. He fears the spirit might reappear, so he hides under a table but realizes that's not going to help. He decides to send Kyle a message explaining the danger of the coffin. Suddenly, the spirit attacks him again. He tries to escape, but as he runs, the spirit pushes him down the stairs, and killing him. With the coffin destroyed, no one can use it again. Kyle collects the coffin's remains and heads home. On his way, he sees the police arresting Marcus and his assistant. Later, he visits the elderly woman to tell her she was right. At her doorstep, he discovers she's a cursed spirit trapped in this world. Having completed her mission, her soul is finally freed. From then on, Kyle must protect the secret of the device, accepting that the scholar's spirit will continue to haunt him. But he's willing to endure it as long as no one else suffers again. And that's where today's movie ends. Stay tuned for more videos and summaries. Goodbye.